Good morning, Starseeds. Welcome to day one of our 5-day Starseed self-care series. I'm so grateful and over the moon grateful to have you all joining me today. For these next 5 days, I'm excited to see what progress you can make and just really how you can start to take care of yourself. This is so important. The topic for day one today, so we're starting with Starseed Love Yourself. I know you've heard the saying, it's so important to love yourself. How can you love anybody else if you don't love yourself first? And it's true in the matter that we are mirrors for one another. So how you're living inside, how you're feeling about yourself, that's what's reflected in your relationships outside. And relationship is one of the biggest learnings, one of the biggest lessons of life here. But that number one relationship is the one that you have with yourself. So how do you love yourself? How can you get past that? I saw a post earlier this morning that a friend of mine put on Facebook that basically says that love is the absence of judgment. And I thought, well, that's perfect. I can share that. That's just absolutely perfect. Love is the absence of judgment. When you look in the mirror at yourself, we're so programmed to be so judgmental and critical of what our bodies look like instead of being just overly grateful and joyful that we have the opportunity to be in these bodies. We'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow because day 2 is love your body. But today, just in general, how do you love yourself? What do you love about yourself? How can you find ways to clear out the judgment that we are so programmed with and get past all of that to be at the point where you do love yourself? And some of you may be familiar with some of these methods. It's what I've used over the years to get to the point where I do love myself. And I have to say, it's really been kind of the last step of this process for me is I feel like last year was 100% focused on me loving myself and how can I get to that point without judgment, without having any judgment of myself, because I want to be able to go out into the world and not judge anybody else either. And I've watched the programming in my mind change and be eliminated from having that initial reaction of judging someone and just loving them instead. There's no room in the world for judgment. Everybody's having a different experience. I don't know what their mission or purpose or what the blueprint of their life is meant to be. And this even comes down to being a mom and having kids. That's one of the biggest learnings that I've actually been blessed with is the children that I have in my life and how they have taught me that I love them no matter what. It's not a reflection of judgment on what they've done in their lives or whether or not I love them. And so that's where we want to be able to get with ourselves. You may be familiar with, I don't know what the word is, Matt Kahn. And Matt Kahn is his name. I've watched his videos for years. And one of them that stuck with me are his I love yous. So a method that he recommends is sitting in the mirror and just saying, I love you. I love you. And it's very cute if you get his videos. He does all these different inflections like, I love you. I love you. I love you. But really what you're doing is you're reprogramming that subconscious programming that's in our minds. And it's so important to get to that point. You need to undo what's been done and fill it up with the good stuff. So one thing that worked for me was to stand in the mirror. Don't you like, oh, my stomach, or, the way that my eyelids are starting to droop with my age or whatever. What comes up, and just really feel into that and love that. I love you, eyelids. I love you, stomach. How can you start to get to the point where you don't immediately judge that your stomach is a little bit sticking out or that your eyelids are drooping? You're reprogramming by saying, I love you, I love you. Another thing that I use too throughout my house, there's a story that I've heard of a man who his girlfriend went to McDonald's earlier in the week and she left a bag on the table. He never eats at McDonald's, but he continued to see that bag sitting on the table for a few days to where all of a sudden he had this urge to go eat at McDonald's. And he thought, why would I want to eat McDonald's? I never eat there. Well, realize now that there's a bag that has been left on the table for 3 days that he's walked by several times, subconsciously noticed there, but just continued on his way, subconsciously programming that image into his head to where all of a sudden he wanted McDonald's. So what I recommend after having kind of learned that is placing different subliminal type messages around your home that are good and positive programming. So, I've placed in the past on the mirrors in the bathrooms things that say that you're kind, you're humble, you're grateful, go directly in the direction of your dreams and things like that, that I know I don't necessarily have to read it every day to know that I'm getting that into my subconscious, because it's coming at you from every other direction. So you might as well put all the positive out there also, do it for yourself and do it for your family. Sit in front of the mirror, say, I love you. Do the I love yous, look just straight in your eyes and get past the point of that being difficult. Just stare into those beautiful eyes. You are the world. You are God. Everything is inside of you. And as just break through the walls, take that time to do little exercises like that for yourself. Obviously affirmations and some of those other things, to write on your mirror or have in places that you see often are also some of that reprogramming. But I think ultimately that's the key to getting past the judgment that we have of ourselves and getting to the point of being you and letting the real you shine through, because if you love yourself, you can. The contemplation topic that I'd like to put out there for today is, what relationships have you experienced? Like I said earlier, we're mirrors for each other, but what relationships have you experienced in your life that have kind of pushed you to go inside? So where have you looked for that love that we all desire outside of yourself? I know I've had a relationship like that where it started out that there was lots of love. I that's where I was getting all of my self-esteem from, was the love that I got from this other person, until that stopped. And then I had to start realizing I don't need that from the other person. I need to go in and I need to look at how I can find that for myself, because here I am in this situation and, I need to get this from myself. It's not going to come from anybody else. So contemplate that. Look at the different relationships that you have in your life. Is there someone that you just wanted love from so much that maybe at one point you did get that love and that was going to come from for you, and then all of a sudden it's gone and you're still searching, and instead of, going out and looking for somebody else, how can you make that come from inside? Contemplate where that connection takes place, where that paradigm shift in your thinking takes place. It doesn't come from outside. It all comes from inside. And then, of course, having that connection with the divine in whatever way you define that for yourself. How can you connect? Meditation, breath work, having that connection to your higher self and guides. That is love. That is source. Whenever we're searching for something in life, whenever we're not feeling like we're on a direct path, or there's confusion or unhappiness or depression, we're missing that connection. Or you're missing that connection to a higher source of love. How can you find that? So those are a few things to contemplate or do some journaling on. If you'd like to post in the Facebook page today on some of your thoughts or contemplations, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see the sharing. Also, feel free to go live video in there too. Sometimes it's so much easier to just easier videos can't be easy all the time for sure, but if you have a lot to say, sometimes it's easier to just record it or, do some rambling and just let somebody connect with you and see where you can get, some help. There's a lot of really good help there in that group. So thank you so much for joining me for day 1. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning as we get started on our 5-day Starseed Self-Care series. Love you.